going to talk about educational choices. There's a lot going on in society today, and parents are starting to realize that you have a choice. Do I put my child in public school, private school, or homeschool? The choice really is yours. Every state has a law, but we'll get into that later on how to look into that. So right now, let's look at your opportunities. You have public school. If you choose public school, pretty low cost, except for the school supplies at the beginning of the year. That can be a little expensive. Each school is different. Private schools, they cost money. You need to pay tuition. Some states do have funds that you can utilize and get access to for paying for private schools. We'll talk about that in the next show. So, homeschool. This is something that you're going to be guiding. And when you choose to homeschool, there's some things that you need to think about as well. So I want to talk to you about your choice. If you've chosen private or public school, what needs to happen is you need to look at your philosophy and how you are going to support the choice you've made. So how do you support the teachers? How do you support the school? Are they meeting your family value system? Okay, homeschool. How are you going to structure your values? How are you going to put your philosophies so that you have the outcome in your family's life that you want? So kind of sit back and let's think about and process through some of these. First thing I want you to do, for me, it's what's the outcome? What do I want for my children? What's the end goal? That's what you need to think about. And one of the hardest things for some parents is, I want my child to go to college. They're going to college. When in reality, your child is not a college student. That's not who God created them to be. So getting that right out there is very important for you to do. You do not need to make that decision right now for your kindergarten child. Now, if we're in 8th grade, that's a different story. But let's look, what is your end goal? How do you write your philosophy on education? And it's one that you and whoever is homeschooling with you understands, and you guys are following the same path. So in our home, my husband and I, we wanted our children to have any door opened that they wanted or they needed. If they want to go to college, great. If they don't want to go to college, great. If they want to work in a volunteer capacity or they want to be a servant in nonprofit organizations, we wanted them to be able to be comfortable in a black tie affair or mud boots, jeans, and digging in the weeds. You know, what do they want? So we chose to make sure that our children could learn to learn, ask questions, research for themselves. We didn't want our children to believe any Tom, Dick, and Harry without understanding what they were looking at and how to answer and ask appropriate questions. So part of our philosophy was having our children know how to learn, to research, and be comfortable in any environment and accepting others for who they are and how they are and love them. So how do you go about that? On my website, there is a gift for you, and that is how to write your own philosophy. You've made a choice. Number one, you have chosen to put your child in a school, whether it be public, private, part-time, alternative, but you are allowing other people to influence your child and their education. It is very important that you support that choice that you made. So some of the things you might not even thought about is, how do I communicate with the teacher? Where is the boundary in how I can influence or not influence? Because the school that we chose for our child to be in has a plan. And by me putting my child in that school, I am agreeing to their philosophies, and I am agreeing to support the choices that they are making for my child. So it is highly important that you never, ever say anything negative about your teacher, the school, parents in the school, other people around and in the school. If you have a concern, then you, Matthew 18 it. It says you take it to that person and you address it. Then for me, what I did was I did take it to the school. But I have a little bit of a strong personality and it doesn't work for everybody. So I talked to my husband and I was like, hey, we need to go talk to the school. And so we did. And he affirmed me that I was not off my rocker, that this was not my choice, and I could not support that choice the school was making. And so we chose to homeschool. But one thing that we never did is we never spoke negatively about the school, about their philosophies, about anything that they were doing around our children. Kids have ears. I mean, it was like, let's get in the car and sit and have a conversation, or go on a date night, or get the kids hooked up to the television watching a movie, and you go out in the backyard as far as you wait from the kids so they don't hear it, because you don't want your children to get up every morning, go to the school, and know that you don't respect their teacher. Can you imagine how your child is going to act towards someone they know their parents don't respect? That's setting a teacher up for failure before the day even starts. So you've made a choice, you've got to honor that choice, and you've got to honor the system. Definitely, if you have questions, figure out who do you ask those questions to. It's always very important for you to not speak negatively about the teachers, about the lesson plans, the homework that's coming home, any of that. Always stay positive. But be honest with your spouse and have those discussions. And if you have concerns, don't wait until the last minute. You know, compile it, make an appointment with the administration, and go in and have a visit and push through some of these items that you have on your list. The next thing, children are children. We are responsible for setting boundaries and expectations of behavior. Our children sometimes can be impacted in the classroom by the loudest personality that's in the classroom. So the behavior you see at home is not always the behavior the teacher experiences in that classroom. So if you are getting a complaint or concern from the school and you talk to your child, let's start with, hey, I got a conversation today with your teacher and these are the things that she's saying. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And as they're telling their story, can you tell me more? Watch that mark on your face. Don't do it. Can you tell me more? Because remember, your job is to support the teacher. Your teacher has a code book. Your family has a code book. And in that code book, different body language means different things. But at the end of the day, you've chosen to support the school, and how you're communicating with the school is important, and the information you are taking from your child is extremely important, because you want your child to feel heard, respected, and cared for. So remember, your child has a love language. Remember that you are to support the school the best you can. Remember, at the end of the day, you made a choice for the education that you have for your child. And in some states, you can change your mind in the middle of the year, within 2 or 3 weeks, you can change that choice. But right now, while you are in your choice of schooling, and educating your children. It is your job to set boundaries, expectations, and honor the teachers and the administration.